You're listening to Make Today Count podcast. I'm Jessica Morari, certified life and career coach, and I will be your host. If you're ready to think better, choose better, and act even when it's messy, you're exactly where you need to be. Let's make today count. Hello, welcome back to a new episode of Make Today Count. I hope you're having a fantastic week and you're making a lot of beautiful things happen for you, and you are little by little shaping the life that you want and getting closer to that version of success that belongs to you. Today's episode was born based on an objection that I got from a client of mine during a session last week. And while I was listening to her, and I got her point, and I saw where she was coming from. So I want to share this with you because you might be experiencing the same dilemma. We coaches put a lot of focus on the future. We talk about how we should set goals to create the future we want. We suggest exercises to visualize that ideal future. We act based on a future reward rather than focusing on the immediate pleasure only. So we really put a lot of stress, of energy and effort into the concept of future and in the crafting of it. And at the same time, we keep hearing and reading and talking about being present in the moment. There has been a lot of movement and awareness around the benefits of being present and really focusing in the now. It's plenty of apps that teach you how to meditate and stand still and savor what's happening right now. You have a great range of mindfulness activities that you can do alone at home, or you can do it in workshops and even online courses. And it really catches kind of everybody because there are activities for children, activities for adults. There are some that combine mindfulness with art, with walking, or aromatherapy, sensorial journeys, and so much more. It's getting super creative. The point that my client was struggling with was this contrast and almost opposite focus of being present versus building her future. On one side, she was hearing, be present, enjoy the moment, slow down, be in the here and now. And on the other side, she was pushed towards set goals, think long term, plan ahead, build your future. And she was getting so confused because she felt like she was pulled between two things that could not coexist. That doing one thing will automatically dismiss the other and vice versa. She was like, okay, so which one is it? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to sip my coffee mindfully and stare at the sunset? Or am I supposed to be grinding towards my 5-year plan? And I understand where she's coming from. Trying to do both at the same time can feel like trying to drive with one foot on the accelerator and one on the brake. And I admit that if you look at it like this, if you look at it as a present versus future, it actually seems contradictory. So what I want to share with you today is that it's not a matter of present versus future, but more of a present and future situation. I want to share what I personally take from each time frame that might be useful for you too, and how you can work for your future and towards it and still be present and be in the moment. Let's start by clarifying that it's not a contradiction. You don't have to choose between present or future. Actually, you want to choose both. You need both. And you want to focus on both because they each have different purposes and they create a different experience at the same time. So what you want to do first is to understand what each one of it is for. The future is for direction. It's like your compass. It helps you keeping the bigger picture in mind and making sure that you are going towards what you want. If you don't take care of that vision, of that destination, then you might end up in a completely different place and you will wake up one day hating your present because back then you didn't have the time or the effort to design your future. The present, then it's for execution. Now is the moment to make things happen. You cannot control your past because that's already gone, and you cannot change it, and you cannot do anything in the future because that hasn't happened yet. So you can only do something about your future now. You use the future to decide where you're going and use the present to actually move. And the problem is that most people mix the two and get confused, and they end up doing nothing, neither one or the other one properly. So I'm going to start with the future. The future is where your goals live, your vision, your plans, the life you say that you want. And working on your future is not optional. As I always say, a successful life, the future that you want, does not happen by chance. It happens by design. I know it's trendy to say, just live in the moment, go with the flow, and feel the vibe. But if you only live in the present with zero direction, you're not free. You're drifting and you are doing nothing about it. Without a sense of future, you react to life instead of creating it. You take whatever comes instead of deciding what you want. And over time, that creates frustration because deep down, you know you're capable of more. Or you realize that you simply want something different from where you want to end up to be. I want you to pay attention if you struggle to make choices for yourself, for your present and for your future. Because you might say you don't care, that you're open to opportunities, and my favorite, which is I'm open to whatever life takes me, which is fine if you're buying a last minute plane ticket to a trip adventure, but it's not fine if we're talking about your future. Life will already do its own job. It will give you obstacles and forces detours and even to stop and change your destination completely. What you don't want is to be completely at the mercy of circumstances and going through life as if it wasn't yours. You know the video game The Sims? If you hear yourself saying a lot the things that I've just said, you are living a sim life. Something else is making choices for you. In the game, it's the player, and in reality, it's the life and the circumstances and all the external factors. You are giving away the most powerful responsibility you have, which is the ability to create the future that you want. And sometimes it's because you're too afraid of making choices and making the right or wrong one, and you don't want to bear with the consequences. Or maybe you're too afraid of not reaching that ideal future that you have and feeling like a failure. My friend, that's all part of the deal. You don't feel anything more powerful than building your own future. No matter what happens, no matter how many times you try and don't get the results that you want, you need a future. You need goals. You need something you're moving towards. And here's the first mistake that people make. They live in the future instead of using it. They get to spend so much time thinking about constantly what's next that they completely disconnect from what's now. I used to do that. I did that for a very long time, and I was always chasing the next milestone, the next achievement, the next promotion. And every time I got there, every time I achieved what I dreamed about, I didn't kind of feel anything because my mind was already on to the next thing. There was no time for joy or present reward or satisfaction because there was always the next goal. It seemed like it didn't matter. And at some point, it stops mattering for real because your brain knows that no matter how much you achieve, you will never be done. And over time, this creates a very weird dynamic where your life becomes like a constant almost there, but never actually lived. You have a moving target and your present becomes something you tolerate instead of experiencing it. Now, let's go to the present, which is where I got lost many times. I thought that being present was about doing nothing and floating through life like in some Zen bubble. And of course, it's not true when you have that sense of direction and you're planning your future. Living in the present, it's about being fully engaged with what's in front of you. It's about actually being in your life while it's happening. And these matter more than we realize. Because the present is the only place where anything actually gets done. You don't take action in the future. You don't build habits in the future. You can't create relationships in the future. Everything happens here and now. And here's the second mistake that people make. They use this being present as an excuse to avoid responsibility for the future. So I want you to pay attention if you're saying any of the things that I'm about to say. I just want to enjoy life. I don't want to stress about tomorrow. I go with the flow. Sounds great. Actually sounds quite poetic until you realize that there is no direction, there is no structure, there is no intention. And many times, what sits underneath that is not peace, but it's avoidance. You're avoiding to make choices. You're avoiding to make an effort or to feel discomfort. Building a future requires you to face uncertainty. It requires you to make choices and commit to something. And that's not always comfortable. So instead, we hide behind this idea of being present while we actually just staying in our comfort zone. And then a few months or years later, we look around and think, how did I end up here? So there is a huge difference between being present and living in your present and being passive. So now you have these both extremes, living in the future and missing out on your own life, on joy, on pride, on the sense of fulfillment and achievement. And the other one, living in only in the present and drifting through it without any kind of direction or a sense of purpose or control. Neither works. They're not sustainable and not what we're living for. What works if you give each one a job? So the future sets a direction, the bigger picture, the vision, you can call it however you want, and the present makes it happen. So you need to ask yourself, where am I going, which is the future focus, and what am I doing right now to get there, which is your present focus. And here's where the magic happens, because when we are clear about our future, the present really becomes a lot easier to handle. Even when you have boring tasks or uncomfortable one or repetitive one, they start to make sense. They are no longer random. They are connected to something. They are connected to that vision of future that you have. And when you're present while you're doing them, you actually do them better because you're focused, you're intentional, you're not halfway there and half somewhere else. So instead of fighting between present and future, you're not putting them in a hierarchy where you have to choose what's more important. You align them and they make sense. You decide where you're going and then you show up fully for what's required today. Again, today is the only place where you can do something. That's where your future is being built. Let me make this very real. We want to keep it practical. So if a future goal is to build a business, the present moment is not someday I'll start. You're going to start sending an email today. You're going to make a call. You're going to sit down and figure out what you need to do, even when you don't feel like it. If your future goal is to improve your health, the present moment is not, I'll get serious next week. It's going to be what I choose today to eat, how I choose to move my body, how I take care of myself today. We cannot live without any of the two. And we cannot live without past either. But I didn't put it in this episode because there was already so much to talk about it. And to be honest, coaching doesn't focus on past a lot. We work on present and future. As I was saying, we cannot live without either present or future. We cannot think of it as two separate entities. They are connected. We've just seen it. And they influence each other. What you do today determines what your future, and what you design for your future tells you what you want to do today. And if you want something practical to take away from this episode, here it is. At the start of your week, define your direction. What are you moving toward? What matters right now? Then every day, bring yourself back to this simple question. What is one thing I can do today that moves me in that direction? And then you actually do it. Do it like it matters, because it does. That's how you keep your present and future connected. That's how you stop feeling torn between present and future. And that's how you actually start building a life that not only looks good on paper, but also feels good when you live in it. I wish you a fantastic day, night, afternoon, wherever you are listening or watching this. I send you a big hug, and I'm here to always remind you to make today count. I'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao. Hi there! Every month I open a limited number of discovery sessions for those who want to start working with me. If you want to see if we're a good fit, or you just want to check and see which are my services and how I can help you, please go in the link in the description and let's have a chat.